Marshall McLuhan.
Oh, shit. Okay.
You know about him?
Kind of.
Okay. You've likely heard the medium is the
The
message.
medium is the message.
Exactly that. Yeah.
I still don't know what that means.
And that's the way he likes it a little bit.
Sure.
A lot of people in the academic world criticized him for vagueness and also density.
Yeah.
In his, he did a lot of yapping.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, they go, "What does that mean, Marshall?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Think about it.
Think about it, though.
The medium was the message."
And then one guy who doesn't get it at the back is like, "Oh."
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you don't get it? I do. But I went to Red River College for creative communications, and they were creaming their pants over some McLuhan.
Oh, sure. I bet they would. Yeah, I bet they would. Exactly. Yeah, this guy, he looks like a guy that is actively in creative communications.
100%.
Yeah, we'll see the photo. Anyway, born in Edmonton, actually, but raised in Winnipeg, went to the University of Manitoba. And so we sort of claim him.
He's ours.
Yeah. So kind of to set the scene on this guy.
Spent the first part of his life making jeans. That we know.
that we know absolute
certain. Right? Tommy Prince, Nygaard, and now McLuhan. They're all making jeans. Let's just skip the jean part.
Denim is what holds them together.
Honestly, everyone who is born in this city spends 10 years mandatory service making denim.
Yeah, so a lot of people have heard that's what Sergeant Jeans does. They just have kids working there.
Yeah, totally.
No, they don't. It's a very nice place.
Yeah.
So a lot of people know him for the medium is the message. But he also effectively predicted the internet about 30 years before it existed.
Oh, shit.
In other terms, if you can imagine how someone would describe the internet 30 years before it existed.
Yeah.
That's sort of what he did,
Yeah.
So we'll get there. But for now, born 1911 in Edmonton, grew up in Winnipeg, kind of just like a nerdy guy, awkward. They probably would have put him on the spectrum had they had that been as popular as it is now.
Yeah.
Was into engineering and then switched to English at the University of Manitoba.
Every genius seems to be kind of on the spectrum a little bit, eh?
I think you got to be. You can't be. The spectrum is the spectrum for a reason, but like you got to be at least 10% up to unlock some of the
perks,
like that movie Limitless.
Great intelligence. Yeah, exactly.
The pill is just autism.
Yeah, like look at Kanye West. Autistic.
That's what I mean. And if he was just interested in something less anti-Semitic, he would be so powerful. His special interest was beats and music.
Yeah.
And then he shifted it to anti-Semitism, and now I just don't care as much about that, so I'm not interested.
Totally.
But if you're into that, you're probably like, whoa, he's one of the best at this.
Yeah, he could apply himself to anything, and really he's got enough skill to flourish. He has chosen fascism, National Socialism.
Yeah.
Bold strategy, yay. We'll see if it pays off.
I wish he had chosen Garfield anime. the sex stuff.
Totally. Garfield hentai.
There it is.
Everyone's like,
hentai.
this is actually groundbreaking sex cartoons.
Came from a deeply religious home, very religious home, as you know, in that era, that's most homes. So
100%.
But we'll call it a very religious home. Christian. Converted to Catholicism in 1937 as a young man.
Weird lateral move.
Controversial at the time.
Sure.
For sure. And just like, among the community, they're like, what are you talking about? This is the good way.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're going to hell. Congrats.
So you're still into Christ, but the wrong way.
Yeah. Studied at Cambridge, where he was big into medieval literature, rhetoric, and philosophy.
Cool. Cambridge. Mm-hmm. Fancy pants.
Yeah. Had an early interest in how communication shapes consciousness.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So took that on from an interest in thinkers like James Joyce, Thomas Aquinas, Gutenberg. He was big into Gutenberg, would later write book
nice.
about Gutenberg, but was super interested in the way that the printing press affected thought.
Yeah, Gutenberg invented the printing press.
Yes.
And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly. So the invention of the printing press had a pretty significant impact. Obviously, he was not like, it didn't happen during his lifetime, but the invention of the printing press was heavy on his mind.
It's weird that, I'm going to get a little geeky here. I went to school.
No, this is an interesting guy.
Yeah. It's weird that he converted to Catholicism, because before the printing press was invented, the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, those guys controlled all the information, right? So that's why we have the Dark Ages, because no one was reading shit, and it all came through the church. So the church was just telling people what to think, how to think. When Gutenberg invented the press, it kind of let everybody print books, and now everybody kind of opened the floodgates to learning and knowledge. So you'd think that he would be kind of opposed to what the Catholics did, but he signed up for it.
You have actually almost the exact thinking process that he did. So we'll jump ahead a little bit to the Gutenberg Galaxy, which he writes in 1962, which was a book that explored how print culture. What a retard.
Tourette's.
How print culture shaped Western thought.
Okay, cool.
So exactly that. The idea that, like, he argued that movable type, which is, for all intents and purposes,
New Roman.
typewriters, the Gutenberg press, the ability to now print letters in the way that you want,
100%.
in any order, to mass print books, pamphlets, these sorts of things, argued that fostered individualism, linear thinking, and nationalism. So, his thought was that the ability, kind of like you said, to now print whatever you wanted instead of just what was being printed, changed the way that people thought.
Totally.
Because, you're like, oh, I could write a book.
Yeah.
I'm just allowed, I could do that.
Dude.
And I have some ideas that are not going to be suppressed or whatever the case is.
Dude, we can just draw our own Garfield hentai.
And print it?
And print it. And distribute it.
So you start to understand a little bit, despite it being a pretty vague and intentionally quote, that the medium is the message, or in that case, the medium, the printing press becomes the message.
Okay, yeah.
Still a little bit vague, but you can apply that to different mediums and also make more sense of it.
I don't get what that means. The medium is the message.
And I think, again, he kind of would like it that way. It's meant to be.
It sounds good.
Yeah. It's a very catchy. It's got a snap to it. It's both a quote, but it's I think definitely like a marketing. I'm
going to call bullshit right now. Marshall McLuhan, you don't even know what that means. You said it. It sounds good. You caught on to it. I don't think even you know what it means.
I think a better way to probably put it is that the medium is as important as the message.
What you're saying. Okay, cool.
How you're saying it is as important as what you're saying.
Okay, cool. All right.
In extrapolated terms, sort of thing. So with the Gutenberg Galaxy, he won Canada's Governor General Award for nonfiction.
Cool.
Said that's a dope. Hey, good job.
Hell yeah.
And it's seen as the foundational text that launched his global reputation.
Damn.
So people read that and went, "Oh, I think he's right."
Yeah.
I guess in academia, that's sort of what it is. In this sort of subjective analysis of Western thinking patterns.
Yeah.
He puts out the book, and it's not about, is this peer reviewed? Is it right? Is it wrong? You read it and we go, do we agree with this? And does it seem to track?
Sure.
And I guess the consensus was yes.
Yeah, this tracks. Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right.
So a lot of his big theories, for instance, the medium is the message, which is how we communicate matters more than what we say.
Okay, cool. So the fact that it doesn't matter what we say on this podcast, the fact that we're doing a podcast is what's important.
Yep.
It doesn't matter that we're talking about hentai. What matters is that we're talking at all through a podcast.
Yeah.
I still don't know what that means.
Well, you see, it doesn't apply to all things, as evidenced by that breakdown.
Yeah, I don't know.
More vaguely to painting, to radio, right? Like, it's not what's being said on the radio.
Okay.
It's the fact that we are now saying things on the radio.
Okay, cool.
Doesn't matter what the news, War of the Worlds being projected. It's the fact that the radio now exists and I can tune into what you're saying. That matters.
That matters. Okay. All right.
So not our podcast, but the medium of podcasts matters more than what's being said on the podcasts.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay,
Because now you've once again advanced radio or whatever you want to call this to the next. He talks a lot about what does the medium make obsolete? What does it, I wish I had the right words that he uses for this, but like what does it enhance?
Sure.
What does it make obsolete?
I mean, podcasts are killing the AM radio game.
So
they
that
really
like,
are.
He would have a field day with this stuff. He would really be loving this stuff. I wish I could find the graph. Yeah, so they call it the tetrad of media.
Sure.
Which is broken down into the medium in the center. Can picture it like an X.
Yeah.
The medium is at the exact center. If you're looking at it straight on your top left, you have what it enhances. On this side, you'd have what it reverses.
Okay.
Down here, you'd have what it retrieves. And down here, you'd have what it makes obsolete.
Okay.
What it obsolesces. Yeah, obsolete. Yeah. So that's the way he looked at all media, effectively. It's like
Okay, cool.
forms of media. Let's say forms of media. He's not looking at every podcast and going, what does this make obsolete? What does this movie make obsolete?
Yeah.
What does color television make obsolete?
Yeah.
What does it retrieve? What does it,
Okay, cool.
So he was looking at media through those types of lenses.
Sure.
He talked about the global village. That's sort of his internet prediction, the global village.
Okay.
Which was predicting real-time, global.
One day porno will fly through the air in waves.
He probably was also making suggestions like that
Yeah.
are easy to forget when stuff ends up being right.
Sure.
But the idea of real-time global connectedness,
Okay, yeah.
which is like, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Like the ability to argue in real time with people globally.
Yeah. Shout out Carol Cunningham. Number one online arguer. 15 years in a row.
Confirmed by
The law. By the courts. The courts even confirmed this.
fuck, you're good at
Dude,
this.
you got the title.
He talks a lot about media as extensions of man, which is talking about the idea of how technology either enhances or amputates a human sense.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like, we are driving.
Sure.
That is we've developed on the foot to now be traveling with wheel.
Okay, cool.
Does that make obsolete the foot? Does that enhance our ability to travel?
Sure.
Things like that.
Interesting.
So you can pass anything sort of through this filter.
That's a pretty good, even like daily life choices should really get put through that little metric or
framework.
Exactly.
Can't help to have a framework, a little, what is that called? Not a Venn diagram, a fucking do.
Yeah. So next time I'm
put it
eating
in the comments.
chocolate laxatives, I'm going to put it through that. What does this enhance? What does this
make obsolete?
Yeah,
My
totally.
colon.
Yeah.
So he did tons of experiments based on just like what media do people learn from easiest?
Sure.
Found that people learn a lot easier from like watching like a show, like programming versus a lecture.
Yeah.
For example.
100%.
Opened up the Center for Culture and Technology. It was founded in 1963 at the University of Toronto.
Cool.
And worked with companies like IBM and AT&T on futuristic media studies.
Interesting.
They liked what he had cooking, and they were like, what's coming down the pipeline?
This guy's a big player.
Big time.
Wow.
Big time.
Okay.
So he was so much so that like, yeah, he was on TV and pop culture, had a major interview in Playboy. Where a lot of people called him out as a hypocrite because they were like, you said that media is mostly kind of like bad and doesn't really benefit in a lot of cases, and you're in Playboy.
Yeah, you're tucked in between jugs now.
He deliberately contradicted himself. One of his famous quotes is, I don't explain, I explore. And people hated that because he's poking around, finding stuff, going, oh, that's interesting. I'm reporting on it the way I see it. And they go, explain that. And he goes, that's not what I do. I explore.
Well, that's the best cop out of all time.
He rocks. He's a cool,
that's sick.
And because he's coming up with ideas that once you're like, okay, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
When we're looking at the past, and now you're sort of with the hindsight of what he sort of said about what would become the internet, you're like, wow, this guy actually was.
So he'll say some crazy statement, and someone's like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, fuck you.
Yep.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Boom. See ya. I kind of like that style. Why explain yourself?
Yes.
Think about it.
So a lot of academics dismissed him as a charlatan, a showman, or just a weird guy.
Sure.
Just a weird dude.
Sure.
So he rose to basically be a pop culture icon, and he was a celebrity in the 60s. Time magazine, lecture tours, hitting the road as like you would go see this guy, like a fucking Tony Stark style guy.
Interesting.
He was in Woody Allen's Annie Hall, famous film Annie Hall, in
Really?
1977. There's a scene where they're arguing in a movie theater, and I guess someone's trying to quote McLuhan, and he chimes in to be like, you don't know about my work.
Yeah.
So he has like a line in the movie.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
I never got into Woody Allen, honestly.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
No, okay.
He draws a line in the sand, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
So he was seen as like a media age intellectual rock star. They say here,
Kind of like a Jordan Peterson.
yes, yep,
Yeah.
sure. Unusual at the time for a professor, for sure. Like
yeah.
whether it's now, it's a little more common because you see these intellectuals kind of taking the mantle of public figure.
Yeah.
But at the time, academics were like, get back in the lab,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Be a faceless article writer.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it comes from jealousy. Also, like he's touring the world. He's in Time magazine. He's hanging out with fucking play models.
Yeah, 100%.
Play thems.
Play mods.
In 79, he has a stroke that left him unable to speak or write. So that kind of knocked him out of the spotlight.
Yikes.
Died in 1980, just before the digital revolution that he had predicted.
Wow.
So for a while, academia forgets him because time passes from his death to where these things aren't really happening.
Sure.
His studies, his lectures aren't as relevant.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the internet comes out, smartphones come out, social media comes out, and his ideas about media shaping identity, information overload, and tribalization really start to gain traction.
It's hot shit right now.
Because he talks about, I'm paraphrasing into my words, but talks about the idea of in the future, people effectively having media avatars.
Yeah.
Which is like very much what social media is now. You're not representing who you are. You're putting
Everyone's a brand.
Yep. Yeah. So as the digital age progresses in the 90s, he kind of rose to relevance again.
Yeah.
Because people were like, whoa, this is.
Whoa. He was kind of right about some shit, seems like.
Yes. Yeah. He super predicted the digital age and in a lot of ways had sort of planted red flags that wouldn't come for another 30 years as far as like, this could be really bad for us, certain forms of media, if we're able to connect instantly in a way that can offer gratification or not.
Yeah. No, that's in some ways it's really good. I mean, I don't want to get into a whole media debate, but it's in some ways connectedness is great, but sometimes, Jesus, you want to turn the phone off. Stop talking to me.
Mostly for the worst. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So one of his more famous quotes as far as these things, as far as this can apply to these things, he says, "We shape our tools, and therefore our tools shape us." Which would be true. We formed social media. It started as Facebook, an easy way to connect. We shape it into this monstrous Instagram, Snapchat, all these different, forums.
Sure.
And now those things shape how we behave.
Yeah.
You behave based on how I want to look on Snapchat, how I want to look on Tinder or Grindr.
Yeah.
Themder.
Yeah. Them there. Yeah. That's a good point, actually. That's not bad. Yeah. Marshall McLuhan may be on to shit. Philosophy grad, I hate that, those cutesy phrases.
Yeah.
Tools shape us and we shape the tools and blah, blah, blah. We could make up one. Let's make up one right now. Like, the dogs.
Now,
The dogs take a piss, but
it's harder than it looks.
okay, all right,
Okay,
not
maybe
great,
this
not
guy
great.
maybe this guy is smart.
This guy is a genius.
He's had a lot of good shit. He's credited with coining the phrase "turn on, tune in, drop out."
Cool.
Yep.
Nice. I thought that was like a drug thing.
Timothy Leary popularized it.
Yeah,
But
100%.
he credits it to McLuhan.
Oh, really?
He says that this guy invented it, and I thought that was pretty catchy.
Yeah. Timothy Leary. I did a bunch of. Oh no, that's who am I thinking of? Different acid.
Dennis
freak.
Leary?
I'm an asshole. What the fuck? What's that guy's name? McKenna. Terrence McKenna? Yeah, Terrence McKenna, the guy who always.
Hey, get in the comments if you know anything that T-Pain has been talking about this entire pod.
Massive acid
What'd McKenna do?
freak. Dog, he dropped it. He just ate a bunch of DMT and then was talking about.
Oh, it was like
And
the
then
epic
I
dose
went
guy.
through the seventh circle, and there were a bunch of squirrels greeting me through the seventh dimension. But of course, you need to really take a hero dose before you cross these levels.
I'm like, okay, this guy's tripping balls. You ain't got nothing to teach me.
Yeah, it
Maybe
actually
he does. I don't know.
So it says Timothy Leary actually says that the slogan was given to him by McLuhan, where Leary said McLuhan was very interested in like ideas and marketing.
Sure.
And he started singing something to the tune of the Pepsi commercial, which I'm not familiar with, in the 60s.
Yeah.
Said something like, psychedelics hit the spot. 500 micrograms, that's a lot. And then started going tune in, turn on, and drop out as like, I guess, to the tune of the thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, Leary was like, oh, I like that. It's like a jingle for acid.
Yeah.
And
Right.
yeah, so he influenced everyone, like all kinds of thinkers, critics. They say Warhol was paraphrasing McLuhan when he said, in the future, everyone will be famous for 15 minutes,
Oh, yeah.
which is like the famous Warhol quote.
Yeah.
Warhol says that he was paraphrasing McLuhan when he said that.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So McLuhan, the
Influence.
idea of in the future, everyone will have
15 minutes.
15 minutes fame comes from McLuhan that Warhol then kind of, paraphrased. And
Yeah. Who's Andy Warhol again? He did the can of soup?
Andy Warhol, the can of soup.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the can of soup. And was also like a pop art icon,
Yeah.
cultural icon.
Why was that painting so popular again?
I think because of its style, it was kind of
He painted a can of soup.
I think no one had painted a can of, like no one had painted like a brand before. No one
okay.
had kind of turned the mirror back at,
Okay.
painting was like, look at this beautiful lady, look at this with the pearl earring, look at Mona Lisa. And he was like,
Here's a
look
brand.
at Bart Simpson. Like sort of thing, you know?
Okay, all right. Hey, that is kind of cool.
Yeah. So once
Okay.
again, you can see how the media is the message.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
So he's in pop culture. Cronenberg's the character Brian Oblivion in Videodrome,
Cool.
is a media oracle based on McLuhan.
Yeah.
He was
Videodrome was cool.
Yeah, so has some influence on that.
Nice.
He was named the patron saint of Wired magazine,
Huh.
and a quote of his was on the masthead for the first 10 years of its publication.
Which quote?
Don't know, doesn't
Okay,
say.
cool.
Probably the media is the message, or something of
Sure.
something similar to that.
Yeah.
He's mentioned by Peter Gabriel, in a Peter Gabriel penned lyric in the song Broadway Melody of 1974 on the Genesis concept album The Lamb Dies Down on Broadway. The lyric is Marshall McLuhan, casual viewing.
Sick. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Dude, sick bars, bro. Dude, new mixtape? Dude, that's fire, dude. Fire.
This is kind of an interesting one because
Can't
it
believe
says,
you went there.
despite his death in 1980, someone claiming to be McLuhan posted on a Wired mailing list in 1996. The information this person provided convinced one Wire writer that, quote, if the poster was not McLuhan himself, it was a bot programmed with an eerie command of McLuhan's life and imitable perspective.
Weird, dude.
So they're saying
he's
that, like-
in the waves, bro.
Yeah, he died and he connected to the fucking...
Dude, he's in the
cloud.
He's in he's in the satellites. He's bouncing around there.
Yeah, so they opened a center now known as the McLuhan Program in Cultural and Technology, which is, I guess, the successor to the center that he had opened.
Oh, yeah.
They sort of gave it a more permanent home. The Marshall McLuhan Catholic Secondary School in Toronto is named after him.
Cool.
And
I guess.
in
Who
2020, is this what happened this year? His childhood home in Winnipeg was turned into a museum.
Where's that?
That is 507 Gertrude.
Oh, shit, dude. I live right around there.
It's just a little home. And you can drive by it, see where this man grew up. And
What the hell? I'm going to drive by there on the way home.
Yeah, kind of cool. It's just a
Marshall
little-
McLuhan.
I guess there's like a little thing out front maybe. And
Nice.
yeah,
I'll just stand in his front yard and be like, fuck you.
unbelievable. Super interesting
You're
guy.
a charlatan. Everyone's like, sir, why are you need to leave.
Been dead for 45 years.
Like,
Are his kids here?
yeah, tell his kids.
Your dad's a charlatan. Like, are those even around anymore? Can you even be a charlatan?
Yeah.
I didn't think you're allowed to be that. Does he have kids? Yeah, he's got 6 kids.
Oh, he's got 6 kids. Good for him.
Yeah, including one of note who is was also passed away in 2018, was a communications theorist. So took after his father very
Nice.
much. Coined the term media ecology. So fuck, these guys love media.
They love inventing
They
shit.
can't get enough of media, dude.
We're just about out of time now, kid.
That's it. The
That's
medium is the message, and buddy, the medium here is extra large.
Hell,
Hey, there's one. I just coined one.
yeah.
That's a
Hell,
pretty,
the
that's a pretty
medium
good one.
is extra large.
So let's say this. Rumors Comedy Club next Tuesday if you want to see me. Also next Wednesday. Or if you're watching this tonight, Tuesday tonight, also tomorrow, the Wednesday.
Yep. Rumors Comedy Club, the Tuesday and Wednesday after that.
Yes.
All right. Come see your boy.
Come
That's
see
how
shows
that-
here at Lucy's Comedy Club.
Lucy's Comedy Club.
Back of Ashdown Market, which also brings me to, we're going to be doing Prairie Dawgs live.
It's in the works.
It's in the works. We're going to get T-Pain more on board, but we'll be doing Prairie Dawgs live here at Ashdown Market. So we'll give you more info on that soon. We're going to be doing guests soon, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Not a ton, but just every now and then. We're going to drop in a select choice, very nice guest for you.
Dave Chappelle.
Mike Ward.
Mike Ward. Kanye West.
a picture of Garfield getting fucked by an octopus tentacle.
First guest.
First guest is
3-hour episode.
Odie with a tentacle coming out of his mouth from his butt.
Oh God. Get in the comments if you actually draw this shit. Draw some.
Oh man, imagine those are the fans we get early on.
Dude.
Cool.
Dude, there's this new Garfield hentai podcast. It's pretty good. Yeah. No, thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And shout out to Ashdown Market for hosting us and our producer, Tim Gray.
Killing it.
And Tyler Schultz at Rumors Comedy Club. Shout out to you guys.
Thanks to them for being nice to us, letting us headline there.
Hell yeah.
It's good. They shouldn't do that.
No, a bad decision.
Well, we'll see you guys next week.
Yes.
Okay, love you. Bye-bye.
Love you.
Thanks for watching that YouTube video.
You made it to the end for some reason.
Watch another YouTube video.
Do it.
It'll be here. It'll be there.
There's links all over the place.
Shorts, longs, mediums.
Just start clicking.
We got it all.
All right.